Hey creatives, welcome back to my channel. Today we are setting up a reading journal. This is something that I have done a little while ago at the beginning of the year as well. But back then I set up some reading pages in my last bullet journal. And since I won't be using this notebook anymore for the rest of the year, I felt the need to get a real reading journal. So yeah, this is what we're doing today, and I hope that you enjoy this. I have two main reasons why I want to use a real reading journal now and not the pages that I had set up in my last journal, which I could totally use for the rest of the year as well, but well, I mean, I won't be flipping back to this notebook anymore since it's too big for me. I don't like it so much anymore. All of that I've talked about in my last videos. But besides the pages that I set up, which were mostly tracking the books that I'm reading and writing down my favorite books and also noting books that I might want to read in the future, I felt the wish to have a place to write down notes about books that I'm reading. And I don't usually do that in my bullet journal because I often then start thinking, what's really worth it to put it in my bullet journal. And so that basically never really happens, that I write down detailed notes on something I read, especially when I read more non-fiction books. So yeah, I wanted to have specific notebooks where I can take notes. So a reading journal would be perfect, right? And the second reason for the reading journal is that I want to motivate myself to read more. And this is because I want to make it a hobby, because I have this kind of, I would say, YouTube addiction where I spend lots of time watching YouTube videos, and I mean, a bit of that is fine, but the other day I checked my screen time and I figured that I was watching YouTube videos for 6 hours, or at least scrolling through YouTube. That doesn't necessarily mean that I watched the whole day, but that was too much. That was way too much. And I find that reading may be a good alternative to that and to get me away from my phone. And because I do love notebooks so much and I like to spend time with notebooks, I thought let's make that a part of reading as well, to write down what I thought about books when I finished them and have a bit of motivation to fill in some trackers or whatever so that I can stay motivated. Just to give you a bit of an orientation where we are at the moment, I am setting up an index for this book so that I can write down where I wrote down some notes or whatever, or reviews to books, and find them more easily. I do plan on using that journal longer than for just 2023 because I'm not a really fast reader. I might read like 2 books a month, and I think this journal will last way longer than half a year. To give you a bit of background information about this journal, it's nothing that I would have really liked to buy for this specific project now. I was browsing through Amazon and looking for new journals, and then I thought, hey, you know what? You didn't want to spend so much money on stuff anymore. You wanted to think about if you really need something more often. And so that's what I did, and I remembered, hey, I have this spare notebook somewhere that I bought quite a while ago, and it's a dot grid journal, and it might not look super fitting from the outside, but it is just fine to try out if a reading journal is actually something that I even like to do, if I even enjoy filling out spreads for books, because that's something I don't really know at the moment. And if I would do this project for like a month or something and then realize, oh, I will never ever do that again, then it would be a bit annoying spending a lot of money on notebook for it. So yeah, I use what I have here, and This journal is from a brand called, what was it called? Let me have a look. From a brand called Creative Lab Amsterdam, and I think they sell stationery and wallpaper. And these notebooks sell for like 16 euros on their website, and I bought mine at TK Maxx for I think 7. So yeah, it was a good deal. It has 100 GSM paper. The quality is fine. For now, I think I will be good with that. So let's talk a little bit about the setup. I have to say that I was really clueless about what I would want to include into a reading journal setup. Like, I felt that the pages I set up in my bullet journal the last time were okay, but not really the most useful or motivating to me. So I really wanted to change things up a bit and give myself more space and options, but not too many so that I don't get overwhelmed. So for that, of course, I did watch a lot of YouTube videos. Maybe that was the day when I spent 6 hours on YouTube, who knows. And I was heavily inspired by Elizabeth from Plant-Based Bride. I've said that in a few other videos. Her content is just great, it inspires me all the time, and she's such a talented artist. And I can't get tired of saying that. So yeah, I have a few spreads in the setup that are definitely her style, her layouts, and all credits go to her. But yeah, I also watched a couple of other reading journal setups, and if I find any particular one that inspired me as well, I will also link it in the description. And if you haven't realized by now, as I've seen a lot of people do, I also went for scrapbooking theme here, and my kind of theme, the vibes I went for were a bit of a magic, planned, vintage collage thing. I just threw everything together that I had, and the supplies that I was using were mostly from the washi tape shop, from Journal Say, from Stationery Pal, a couple from local shops, and from Amazon as well. And I said that in a different video, but I won't be linking my supplies anymore in the info box, just to make filming and publishing videos easier for me. But if you want to know where something specific is from, you can definitely write that in the comments, and I will try to find it and send it to you so that you can have a look at it by yourself. While I'm recording this voiceover, I'm not exactly sure how I'll piece it together with the videos. This is something I've struggled with a bit in the last time, so I thought that maybe I will not describe what I'm doing on each page too much in detail, because I think maybe that's self-explanatory anyway. But the setup and the pages that I was going for were the index at the beginning, we already talked about that. Then I have a cover page for the second part of 2023, where I will start this reading journal. And it also has a little space to remind me of the reason why I wanted to start this bullet journal, because, you know, sometimes that can get out of head and then you might not know what the thing was that motivated you to do this, and so that I could go back to that whenever I feel a bit frustrated with it or whatever. Then I have a spread for books of the month, and I'm not exactly sure how I will fill this spread, if I would just write down every single book that I read, or if I write the total of books I read. We will see as I go, I guess. But I thought that an overview for the books that I'm reading might be cool to look back at, instead of flipping through all the pages and counting how many books I read or whatever. To motivate me to fill out my journal and also to read a bit more of a variation that I usually wouldn't read, I included a book bingo spread, which is also inspired by Elizabeth. And I also came up with some things that I definitely want to try out reading once I sign up to the library, so that I can widen my horizons a bit and get some new ideas, perspectives. I find reading is a great opportunity for that, and I hope that this book bingo page can help me to actually do the things that I want to read, because I also have the tendency to stick with the things that I know and that I know that I would like, but then you never really experience anything new that you might also enjoy. And next to that, I have a reading tracker, which you might also know from Elizabeth's reading journal if you watch her videos. But I find it pretty cool to have a spread where I can just say yes, another book, and have a bit of a achieving moment, which always feels great, I guess. And my reading goal is pretty humble. I set myself 24 goals 24 books for the rest of for the whole year, actually, not just the rest, because as I said, I'm a slow reader. I think I can read 2 books a month, maybe more, but for now I find that realistic, and I'd rather get higher than that than stay way under the goal I set myself and then be frustrated with my achievings. And last but not least, I have 2 more pages, one for writing down books that I might want to read at some point. I call that maybe next, and below that I have some space for books that I started at some point and that I might maybe want to finish. There are a couple, because I have this thing to buy books that I think I really need. I really want to read them while I'm standing in the bookstore, and then I realize, I'm not reading them at all. So a couple of them I want to finish. Maybe that is the motivation to do so. And by the way, I thought to myself to make my plan to make reading more of a hobby and a habit, I might have to do something about the way I consume books, because I find buying books kind of annoying, to be honest. I don't want to have thousands of books in my house, in my apartment. I don't have a house. Space here is a bit limited. My bookshelves are already pretty full, and I don't see the point of buying especially novels and stuff like that and fiction books, because I usually read them once and then never again, except for Harry Potter maybe. And with non-fiction books is also that I often start reading them and then I don't finish them. So having them physically is just a waste of space and also money. And the same I feel with my ebook reader. I also have like mixed feelings for ebooks. Sometimes I like reading like that and sometimes I don't. And also I find that is really, for a digital product, something that I don't physically have in my hand, I find it a bit frustrating to spend sometimes a lot of money for that. So, long story short, I find the solution is that I want to sign up for the library. And I like the idea of that being pretty sustainable reading, since there has not been a new book printed for me or anything. And it has the minimalist aspect of getting your house not cluttered up, and also it saves money. I mean, I think the library here costs me at the moment probably 25 euros, and when I get a bit older it will be 40 euros, but I mean that's 4 books and then you're already having it paid off. Yeah, I just thought I'd share that because I find that is such a great idea and system that has been around for so long, and I feel like maybe that got a bit forgotten or something, or I just forgot that things like that exist, and maybe it's something that you might be interested in as well. And to also talk a little bit about the creative aspect of this video, which is the scrapbooking elements that I'm bringing together. I wanted to explain to you how I collage, which in short is I have no idea. I just put together things. But I thought about the process, and I think at first I'm always trying to create some sort of base with some bigger textured elements, like you saw me put a lot of washi tape or paper with like scripted styles on them down. And then I basically add the elements as I go, and I try to work around the layouts that I create. Sometimes I try to overlap things, and yeah, just look what feels good together, what I like. And I try to do a bit of a mix of reoccurring elements and some new ones on every page, so not everything looks exactly the same. You could do that with different pictures or same washi tapes. Mix things up. I think last but not least, it's sometimes helpful when you're sitting in front of your journal the whole time. Sometimes things just look like meh, everything's kind of too much or too little, I don't know. And I feel then it helps to get a bit of a distance and step away from your journal. Like you could look from far away or literally take a little break, close your notebook, do something else and look at it with a fresh view. And sometimes that helps to figure out where you have to add more or change things up. And yeah, I actually went through the pages after I set most of them up again to add a bit more. And yeah, I think I'm quite happy with the pages. They're definitely not perfect as always, but they serve the function for me to get motivated to read and to use them, so they don't have to be perfect. And that is basically all that I have to say for this reading journal setup. I hope that you enjoyed it, even though it was a bit on the chaotic side. But I mean, if you follow me for a while, then you know that's just how things are here. If you like what I'm doing, there are a couple things you could do and check out. First of all, I have a free Patreon page where I share like kind of blog posts to my videos with pictures, more details, and also a few freebies and stuff. It's free, you can sign up there or just look at it every now and then. And also you can go to Pinterest if you want to remember any of my things, and you can pin my designs and whatever. You know how Pinterest works probably. And if you like my videos, I would be very happy if you subscribe to my channel, if you give my videos a like, but that's all no pressure, you know. So yeah, I hope you're doing great, and I hope that we see us in my next video. Bye!